One of the greatest regrets my dad had was selling our vintage Browning Hi-Power. My name is Julie Golob and I'm a brand ambassador for Springfield Armory, Federal Ammunition, Trijicon, CCW, Safe and Filster, and I'm very excited here to share my thoughts on Springfield Armory's newest SA-35. That Hi-Power was the first gun I shot in IPSC matches. That was back in the 90s when you could see everything from single port compensated 45s to wheel guns to even the occasional Glock. There was just one division and you brought what you had. Everyone competed heads up. Unlike today, where we have hundreds of photos accessible in our pocket, I only have a couple of images from those early days at the range. My Hi-Power was blued with a spur hammer, and where it always pinched my dad's larger hands, I didn't have that issue. My hands are much smaller than his, and admittedly, I didn't have the greatest grip. You can even see here that my left hand is kind of halfway between an okay grip and, oh, classic cup and saucer. But hey, I was new, right? The 13-round mags gave me a little advantage over other competitors shooting pistols with lower capacity. The grip, though double stacked, still allowed me to reach the magazine release button somewhat easily, and the curve trigger was something I didn't have to stretch to reach. Nice. I didn't shoot that P35 very long, and eventually my dad sold it to a fellow competitor to help us pay for a real race gun, a single stack comped 38 Super with a red dot. And like I said, Dad always regretted selling it, not just because it was a nice pistol, but how it was a catalyst for many fond memories. So this here is my first SA-35 since joining Springfield Armory, and yeah, what a journey. You know how as time passes, there's this feeling that you have, or at least for me, of constantly moving on to what's next. I'm so often intent on looking forward that I don't spend a lot of time with my memories. Of course, there are those core memories that help shape who we'll be, but we have so many things going on, or at least I do, that I just don't have a lot of time to sit back and reminisce. Just looking at this pistol, it sends those little signals to my brain. And I recall some of those first stages, and the people who cheered me on, many of them are no longer with us. And of course, my dad, may he rest in peace, he was always so proud. So this SA-35 may not be that original keepsake, but it has me recalling such special moments and feelings. So I wrote up this pistol in an article for the Armory Life. I'll leave it linked when it goes live, but I had a hard time deciding which would be my first SA-35. I was completely tempted by the launch of the polished version at this year's SHOT Show. You know, the one that almost looks too pretty to shoot? Yeah, almost. But knowing that a 4-inch was in the works, I knew that that was the one I was going to choose. I also delayed the whole even asking for an SA-35 for just a little bit because this is a big anniversary year for me. 2026 is my 35th year competing. And it all started with that P35, so everything just comes together. Isn't it amazing? Yeah. The Armory Life video goes into more detail about the variety of features, so for this one I thought I'd share why I chose the 4-inch and some of my favorite things about it. First of all, I have rekindled my appreciation for a 4-inch gun. Yes, they can feel a little snappier, but the recoil impulse is, oh God, I love that trigger. Sorry, distraction, is fast and controllable. My main carry guns for many years have been 4-inch guns, and shooting the Echelon 4.0 FC over the winter and getting ready for Steel Nationals, where I shot it most recently, the dedicated time on a 4-inch gun has been really good, and I really enjoy that fast recoil recovery and how it seems to just drive from target to target easier. That shorter barrel length can feel significant in the draw, especially from carry holsters if you like to carry a classic like this one. I used a Yaki Slide holster from those many, many years ago. In the early 90s, I gotta say, high-rise pants for women were still very, very popular. They're coming back. Anyway, Jeans were the only pants in my wardrobe with strong enough belt loops that, combined with the high waist cut of the pants and my very short torso, it felt like I was drawing from my armpit, you know, especially with that standard length slide. The SA-35 out of that same holster, it draws a lot better. Still not my first choice in a holster, and I need to get a different one for it. One that has better retention without the barrel exposed, probably Kydex. But the shorter barrel does make for a faster draw for me. Admittedly, I'm gonna say it, this isn't the fastest or easiest pistol for speedier mag changes. Designed in an era where fast loads weren't measured on the clock, the geometry of the mags means that you have to practice so that the corners of the mag line up perfectly with the interior of the grip and that you have just the right angle. Still, when it all lines up, it feels so nice. And I love that I don't have to adjust my grip too much to reach that mag button. The combination of grip size and precise location of the button works so well for my thumb length. If I dedicated some exclusive time to this pistol, I feel I'd load it faster and more consistently. And I have to say, I am very, very tempted to go shoot a local USPSA match with this gun, just for fun. Because again, the memories, right? Back to the gun. I love how this looks. I'm not knocking them, but where modern pistols boast kind of a blocky look with their sharp corners, the SA-35's profile with its rounded curves, it's just elegant. The gun is distinguished. It feels so classic and sturdy, yet sophisticated. The way the slide just kind of tapers and the blue and the walnut just look so good together. I just love it. It's so pretty. The contours of these grips, first, they're functional and feel like they're just made for your hands. Instead of fitting your hands to the pistol, the SA-35 grip just swells in all the right places. Then there's that gentle checkering to keep it from slipping around in your hands. But my favorite detail is in how the grip has these added lines that just taper into the metal of the frame. I compare this to an old classic car in the Armory life, or even like hand-carved antique furniture. It just screams craftsmanship. And yeah, as I said, it's just so elegant looking. I love it. Now, from a functional standpoint, upgrades from the original design include 2 more rounds in the mag. Where the original had 13 rounds, Springfield has redesigned the mags to take 15, and this is comparable to modern pistols of the same size. I really appreciate the benefit of the additional capacity, but another really big perk is that the magazine disconnect safety is removed, so no magazine in the gun, and yeah, you can still pull the trigger, yes. I am not a fan of this type of safety, especially when you want to work on gun handling skills and dry fire, but it also means that Springfield was able to improve the already very, very nice trigger pull, coming in at just over 4 pounds. For those of you who've only really known flat triggers, they are an upgrade when it comes to speed and forgiveness of trigger finger placement, and they can make it easier for people with shorter fingers to have a consistent press. But at some point, I do hope you try a curved trigger on a classic pistol. I recommend the SA-35s in the way it just hugs the finger. There's just something about it. There's that small amount of take-up, I'll do it this way, small amount of take-up at the front, and the metal on metal sear. That movement just feels so smooth. It has a delicate roll that it's my favorite. And the trigger out of the box feels like the kind of trigger you get from a good gunsmith. It's amazing. Like its siblings, the SA-35's loop hammer offers more clearance to avoid pinching the webbing of the hand compared to the original P35, especially with the old spur hammer. My grip has improved drastically over these past 35 years, and even with a high thumbs forward grip, shooting from a rested position, freestyle, one-handed, you name it, I had no issues with the dreaded hammer bite. If you have very meaty hands, it may still be an issue for you, but I've shot about 1,000 rounds through mine, and I had no problems, no marks, no scars, no nothing. Shooting this pistol is an absolute joy, and like I said, it brought back so many fond memories. Perhaps my favorite functional upgrade from the predecessor is the redesigned thumb safety. It is extremely smooth, and the larger paddle mimics that of a 1911. This makes it much easier to ride with a high grip, something that I struggled with as a young shooter with that original P35. On the SA-35, manipulating the safety is no issue, and as a bonus, that wider paddle helps me maintain a consistent high grip. Historically speaking, it's not that easy to find a P35 with a 4-inch slide, known as the detective model, but personally, in just looks alone, this barrel length really looks good on this platform. And I'm very curious as to what you think. Also, have you shot the SA-35 or even one of the original Hi-Powers for that matter? Are you itching to try this classic pistol or ones like it with cool history? I'd love to hear from you below. I'll also leave the links I mentioned along with a Substack post where I share more. If you have questions, fire away. As always, thanks so much for watching. Please consider subscribing, and until the next one, be safe, have fun, and live your life fully loaded.